Hello, good evening and welcome to Prime Business with me, Pius Kojobaka. Finance Minister Dr. Ato Forson has charged the heads of Ghana Revenue Authority and Controller and Accountants General to discharge their duties with the needed diligence. The Finance Minister said this when he paid a visit to some critical institutions under his supervision. More in this report.
The Finance Minister targeted these institutions because of their impact in helping the new administration on its mandate. The Ghana Revenue Authority, for instance, plays a critical role in helping government raise the required revenue to support its expenditure. The Controller and Accountant General, on the other hand, also ensures the public sector workers and those that are on the payroll of government are paid on time. That is why sources say the minister did target them on his first day of work. Joy Business is learning that the minister has already hit the ground running on his plan to reset the economy based on meetings done with the various heads and directors of the Ministry of Finance. The Finance Minister has promised that he will make stabilizing the currency and reducing inflation as one of his major priorities.
Meanwhile, Chief Executive Officer of Opportunity International Savings and Loans and former board chair of the Ghana Association of Savings and Loans Companies, Kwame Owusu-Boateng, has expressed confidence Dr. Ato Forson to address challenges affecting the economy. He also welcomed President Mahama's move to incentivize businesses.
Government has a role to play in making sure that the economics are right. If the economics are right, the people will be happy because institutions operate at a less cost and they can pass the benefit back to the customers.
Talking about government, on Sunday, President Mahama made mention of the fact that he'll be incentivizing businesses, which of course includes the savings and loans space. What do you make of such, comments? Basically.
I think there are positive comments at the start for the government and President, His Excellency President Mahama. We look forward to these suggestions and issues that were captured, or policies that were captured in manifestos, translating into actual policies. Once those are done, you talked about digitalization and how it's going to impact. If, for instance, e-levy is gone, the tax component is gone, it stimulates transactions on the mobile platforms, which of course creates efficiencies for the customers and also the institutions. So we look forward to all these policies coming into fruition.
Let me pick your thoughts on the new Finance Minister, Dr. Ato Forson. What do you make of his appointment?
I think that he's been in the ministry before as former deputy minister, and also in opposition. He was a key figure for the opposition in challenging the government in power then. So he really understands the space, and we believe that his appreciation of the dynamics of what should happen for the economic indicators to improve is high. So with that, I have very high expectations of his input and his abilities and that of the ministry, and we believe that when that happens, it gets better for all of us.
Economist Courage Buti is charging the Finance Minister to wage a war on businesses that are not paying their taxes to help deal with revenue shortfalls. Mr. Buti spoke on PM Express Business Edition.
Ruthlessness, being ruthless in compliance enforcement. I think that is the bit that has been missing in our fiscal administration all this while. We have a lot of taxes. In fact, I dare say that a number of them can go and we can still raise way more than we are doing if everybody is able to pay their bit. What are the systems in place to punish non-payment of taxes? I mean, if I don't declare my taxes, nothing happens. And for a lot of people, they have no business to do it, a government contract or some of the things that require that you bring your tax clearance certificates and all that. For a lot of people, they have nothing to do with government whatsoever. So if your tax clearance certificate is the way you get them, then you get the likes of my colleague in the studio who is a businessman and the many others who are looking for government contracts at some point in time to only comply. But a lot of other people will not comply. And how are we even measuring that? The tax I so declare is actually the tax I'm supposed to pay. How are we tracking it? How are we, for instance, we've developed a Ghana card, which is the base document for account opening and all that. And we have a residential address system that is supposed to be digital and is linked to that card. So if you pick my Ghana card, I think you'll be able to know what I do because that information is there. You'll be able to know where I save. That information will be there. If we are serious about revenue collection and whether people are paying their due, GRA, I believe, with technology, should be sitting in their office and picking individuals at random and look at the flows in their account. And that information they can have easily and then be able to say, if these are your flows, and then juxtapose that with how much tax you paid and invite you on Explain Wealth Order. Really, tell me how you're making your money. Tell me how come you made maybe 100,000 this year, but you only paid this much in tax. And there should be implications for even assessing the public hospitals, assessing utilities, assessing basic services with your tax record, really, because we are using taxpayers' money to subsidize for these things. If we are not ruthless with non-compliance and we introduce a number of tax policies, but we don't follow them through, whether people pay or not is not important to us.
Speaking on that same program, Chief Executive of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mark Bedua-Boagye, revealed that businesses will resist any attempt by government to introduce new taxes.
I want this administration to look out for those people.
Be heavy on compliance.
He cited an example of these artisans. Sometimes some of the money we pay to them and the fact that they are not paying any tax on it. And your salary, because you can easily be identified, they are chasing you. The work is out there for whoever is taking up that role as the Commissioner General of GRA. Is not to sit
Anthony
in the office.
Sapon, near KPMG, senior partner. Yeah.
Yes,
There. Yeah.
But to go out or find an innovative way to get those people, everybody to pay a little bit of it so that you won't pile it on the field that you can identify. There are a lot of people, the Mokola people, I'm not saying you should go there, but the kind of monies they are making there is because also they themselves are also not keeping records. So make it extremely difficult for GRA to say that you have made such and such profit. That is where we need to find an innovative way. We have, said this over the years, we want to expand the tax, we want to expand the tax. If you go to any tax-related economic class, they will tell you expand the tax. But what exactly are we supposed to do? Those rents and all those big places, the buildings that are there, that they are not paying any rent tax and all those things. Let's identify them. Let everybody pay a little bit of it. And I'm sure that they will make more revenue. In fact, let me say here that if the Minister of Finance, for that matter, government, decides that in the 2025 budget, they are going to scrap e-levy. So they're going to find a way to introduce another nuisance tax. The Chamber of Commerce
levies or something.
And the business community will resist that. We are going to resist that. And by so doing, I'm also assuring him that we are going to work together to ensure that the businesses that are not paying their taxes, we will help them to identify them so that they pay.
Mark Bedua-Boagye in that interaction with my colleague George Uyafe on PM Express Business Edition. Now, some banks are linking the current pressure on the cedi to limited supply of dollars by the Bank of Ghana. Here's a report.
Data picked up from some of the commercial banks showed that demand over the past week is coming from corporates and firms operating in these sectors, as most of them are trying to restock for the year. The current pressure on the Ghana cedi, according to some market analysts, is purely a demand and supply issue. The Bank of Ghana is still in a strong position to support the Ghana cedi, looking at their current state of reserves. Therefore, some market analysts have described it as interesting, looking at the limited support of dollars on the market. However, some have argued that following the resumption of debt repayment to bondholders since October last year, there's a need for the central bank to be tactful over how it uses its reserves. Even if you restrict yourselves to the bank rates, it has moved from the 14 cedis range to $1 when it comes to the rates from 2 weeks ago to now more than 15 Ghana cedis to $1. For some, the first quarter pressure is expected, with some even describing it as perennial. But maybe some fresh measures need to be introduced to slow the rate of depreciation,
against the US dollar.
Now, Minister of Energy and Green Transition, John Jinapor, has inaugurated a 7-member committee chaired by the former Chief Executive of We Power Authority, Jabesh Emisa Arthur, to advise on a roadmap for Electricity Company of Ghana's privatization. The minister, in an address, charged the committee to ensure a financially sustainable model and prioritize local content.
Who forms part of efforts by the newly sworn-in Minister of Energy and Green Transition, John Jinapor, to ensure the sustainability of the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, and the Northern Electricity Company of Ghana, NEDCO. An audit by PwC revealed that ECG recorded a net loss of 5.9 billion Ghana cedis and a debt of 47 billion Ghana cedis in 2023. He believes a comprehensive roadmap for ECG's privatization will be a game changer.
And if we do not get the distribution sector properly sorted out, no matter what we do, the sector will collapse. And as Minister of Energy, looking at the records, I'm very, very worried. And the situation is alarming. Something must be done urgently. And so I would appeal to the public, the ECG staff, the workers' union, to give this committee maximum cooperation. If they get your cooperation, we can come up with a roadmap that's acceptable to all of us, but that will ensure that we bring about efficiency and turn the sector around.
He further charged the committee to ensure significant local content participation.
I just want to appeal to them that we have always advocated for local content. And so in your work, always have it at the back of your mind that local content participation ought to have a place as far as ECG's work is concerned.
He expressed worry over the numerous procurement infractions that have occurred at ECG in the past, promising to ensure a competitive tendering process.
Yesterday, I led a team to the Tema Harbour, and to our dismay, ECG has contracted suppliers. And what ECG did was that once you submit a bill of lading, the obligation falls on ECG to ensure that the containers are cleared at the port. As at yesterday, when we went there, we had about 2,500 containers stranded at the port because ECG is unable to clear those containers and they are attracting demurrage. And so far, the demurrage alone is estimated at a staggering 1.5 billion.
In his response, Chairman of the committee, Jabesh Emisa Arthur, pledged the committee's unwavering commitment to delivering a sustainable solution that will bring value to ECG.
We will also give attention to what will really bring benefits to the sector and to the customers in terms of financial sustainability of the sector, and also address the concerns of other stakeholders, such as the owners of the business, the staff, and management. We will consider what will turn out to be the main weaknesses of the distribution sector, and as far as possible, give priority to homegrown approaches and homegrown strategies.
The 7-member committee, chaired by Jabesh Emisa Arthur, has a timeline of 1 month to deliver a financially sustainable privatization model to ensure the efficient running of the power distribution agencies.
Some local electrical engineering companies in the Ashanti region are requesting the government to invest heavily in the local assembling of the appliances to support lighting systems in Ghana. Ministries and communities and, of course, major cities of the country continue to be plunged into darkness owing to inadequate lighting and faulty street lights, impacting night vision and movement. Preforce Limited, a leading electrical installation company, believes commitment from the government would not only enhance street lighting but also create more employment. There is more in this report.
A
It's a perilous struggle for many commuters and motorists who ply the streets at night. Many streets in the Ashanti region are poorly illuminated, impeding safer movement of humans and vehicles, primarily attributable to the many defective street lighting systems. Prefos Limited, a leading electrical company, observes with worry the state of the country's street light system as it calls for more collaborations to enhance mobility at night. Thomas Jumo is the IT manager at Prefos Limited.
Now, when you look at the street lighting situation in our communities these days, we realize that they are nothing to write home about. Most of the street lights, when you go through the communities in the night, you realize that most of the communities are totally dark. And so what Prefos Limited is doing is that we, in partnership with the government of Ghana, we do whatever within our means to help, especially within the year, and this particular year, 2025. We want the government of Ghana to partner with Prefos Limited to beautify our communities, our villages, and the whole nation at large with light. Because when you look at Prefos Limited, our mandate is beautification and lighting.
The company is advocating a more robust system in accessing financial assistance and investment to enhance operations. Philomena Wuswansa is the general manager of Prefos Limited.
We will be very glad and happy if the government assists us, because we've been reading a lot about other countries being assisting their companies in their countries to venture into a whole lot, which in other ways helps the country. So if Ghana, the government, is able to help us, to hold us, to help us with going for loans and all that, we'll be very glad. And it's going to help the government too, since we are going to create employment for the youth.
Meanwhile, as part of its annual celebrations and corporate social responsibilities, the electrical company made a kind donation of cash and other items to the Jabi Municipal Hospital in the Ashanti region.
The things that we've received, it was in the name of Children's World. We also have MBU, babies that have been just delivered, and some few days old babies that are not feeling well. They are sick babies. So the things that we have received from Prefos, we will use those things to work on them so that it will help or facilitate their healing.
For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Pratkwiku.
Stakeholders in the energy and environment sector are urging the government to backtrack on plans to integrate nuclear energy into Ghana's energy mix. They contend that in addition to it being capital intensive, which will leave the country in debt, nuclear energy is not safe, posing threats to the environment. There is more in this report.
Organizations from South Africa, Zambia, Russia and Kenya supported some non-governmental organizations in Ghana in a solidarity engagement to highlight the threat of nuclear energy proliferation in Africa. According to them, nuclear energy is not safe, affordable, nor climate smart. They want government to instead focus its attention on renewable energy sources such as solar. Alberta Kpeloku is with 360 Human Rights.
Looked consequences of nuclear energy, especially with reference to nuclear waste, from environmental disaster to health risks and economic concerns. It's time to reevaluate our reliance on nuclear power. The impacts on the environment include nuclear accidents, radioactive waste, and contamination. Health risks include cancer, genetic damage, kidney disease, and other related conditions caused by radioactive exposure.
Panel members at the third annual Forecast Dinner and Charter Recognition Ceremony have underscored the critical role artificial intelligence play in investment opportunities in 2025. The event, which was organized by CFA Society Ghana, brought together professionals in finance and investment. Here's a report.
Over the years, the CFA Society Ghana, which advocates the interest of investment professionals through education, event and professional development has promoted the highest standards of ethics and professional excellence for the ultimate benefit of society. At the third annual forecast dinner and charter recognition ceremony, panel members highlighted the important role AI will play in investment in 2025. Emmanuel Owusu is the Chief Investment Officer at Ecobank Group.
The key area of focus was on the themes, the things that we want investors to focus their attention on. And I made mention of the forces, the mega forces that are at play, where we are mentioning on artificial intelligence as a key driver of investment decision or growth area for investors to consider. And one of the things I highlighted was the data point that points to AI preparedness. And when you take the data from the IMF, AI preparedness within the context of Africa, you realize that Ghana also features on. And as we've all come to accept that we are in the foundation phase of the AI transformation, it was quite important that we look at areas that we can invest as asset allocators. And I think one of them is to look at the data centers.
On this part, a board member of CFA Society Ghana, J. Boatin, advised prospective investors to look beyond Ghana when considering investment opportunities in the area of AI in 2025.
One of the core things that kept being mentioned is AI is transforming the world. We have to pay attention. And there was consistent emphasis on the regulators being a little bit more open-minded and allowing some external investment to actually take place. And there was a consistent theme around that. One of the other things that was actually also prevalent across the entire thing is we live in a global world. And as such, we Ghanaians have to look at ourselves as global citizens living in Ghana, rather than just Ghanaians living in Ghana. And I think this was a similar trend that was mentioned last year. So these are something that we all have to pay attention to. Yes. So I think the gold coin generally is a brilliant idea. Let me just give you some facts. It took Ghana 552 years since the Portuguese first arrived here for us to come to the conclusion that having gold or offering gold coin to Ghanaians will actually help protect our wealth. Now, it's a long overdue, but globally, this is something that around the world people have been doing. So I think generally, you know, I'll take that view, and I think there's it's a good thing for the industry. It's a good thing for Ghanaians. I think there's still a lot of concerns around people getting a lot more education in terms of how it can help them. But also there's the concern around, okay, where do we keep it in terms of safekeeping and other things. But I think these are all being flashed out at the moment. As I understand, the commercial banks are able to custody it for Ghanaians. So I think generally, I think it's a brilliant idea. And, you know, the other sort of thing that kept coming up today is there's a need for more products into our space.
As part of the ceremony, new charter holders were also awarded by the CFA Society Ghana. They were urged to promote the highest standards of ethics, education, and professional excellence for the ultimate benefit of society.
For watching Prime Business with me, Pius Kojo Bakadu. Have a lovely weekend.